Welcome to the Rocker Skating Podcast Season 2 premiere, sponsored by John Wilson Blades. Michelle, welcome back.
Hi,
Are we
Jackie.
are we back?
I guess we are. Guess we are.
It's kind of exciting, I have to say.
Yeah. It was kind of quick.
It was kind of quick. I mean, the two of us did a few shows in between during the off season. There were a lot of things that happened, and we're going to talk about that today. For those of you who don't really know, the season really starts, like officially, the season starts on July 1st of each year. And when you are a skater who is not expected to be going to four continents or Europeans or junior worlds or worlds, your season oftentimes is like you're already in the mode to compete at this point, which is like
Mhm.
those of you who are fairly new to the sport, and even those who aren't new to the sport, may may not even know this. A lot of the skating fandom kind of wakes up when the challengers start. And we had one challenger this week, and that's usually not where the skating fandom wakes up yet. But usually it's in September. And then the Grand Prix are in October, and that's when things really get started. But it is to say, there's a lot of skating already happening. And we're going to talk a lot about that. Okay. Before we start, I just want to do a little bit of a plug because none of this can happen without all of your support. And your support includes subscribing to the channel, just watching this and listening to this podcast, which is fantastic. But also, there's a lot of merch that's happening right now, and I just want to put in a quick plug for the season retrospective book that is coming out in September. This is the proof. It's a proof. It is 150 pages of spectacular Danielle Earl photography, and lots of excerpts from the Rocker Skating Podcast interviews from last season, results, all of this stuff. It's just I I'm very proud of this, mostly because I'm proud of what Danielle has done for the sport, and this. I hope that this collaboration will continue into future seasons, but it's something to absolutely look at. It comes out in September, but pre-orders are happening now, store.rockerskating.com. There are also tote bags, there are also pins, there are also all kinds of stuff. And because you're listening to a podcast, discount code podcast for 10% off everything. Okay, I'm done with that for now. Let's talk about what has happened, and a lot has happened. Okay. Where should we start, Michelle? Should we just start with the rules changes? That's going to be like easy-ish.
Yeah, that sounds like safe territory.
This, we're going to get into some not as safe territories
Yeah.
later on in this podcast, but let's talk about rules changes. As with every Olympic cycle, there are usually big sort of not resets, but big things that the ISU has learned from the past 4 years, and they want to recalibrate or they want to change things so that it's more balanced here and there, whatever it is. There are reasons for lots of changes, and a couple of the big changes this season are higher base values for steps and for spins, which has implications to the scores that you see. One fewer jumping pass for single skating in the free skate, and you can only do two combinations and or sequences, and there's some special regulations that happen
And
with that.
half loop doesn't exist anymore.
And the
It's
half loop slash Euler
imaginary.
does not exist anymore as a point getting element, right? So you can still do half loop or Euler combinations, but it doesn't actually take up a jump slot in the protocols, which means you can do a half loop combination plus another jump, and that's part of the way that they're making up a little bit for the fact that you're taking out a full jumping pass from the free skate, and depending on who you are, like Mao Shimada has reworked her entire free skate such that her base value is very similar from last season to this season, because the one jump she's taking out is the triple Salchow, the lowest scoring triple jump in her free skate, and she then replaces it with a triple flip, triple toe, double axel, right? Like it's not quite like that, but like basically the way that her jump layout has been reorganized has actually made it such that her base value is not that much lower. And then when you add back the increase in the spins and the steps, she's basically scoring from fairly similar territories, which is it's an interesting thing. The implications of this are wide ranging, if you will. For pairs, there is one fewer lift in the free skate. You do get a choreograph lift in the free skate, but then you don't get a choreographic sequence in the free skate. So there's like a little bit of give and take there. Everybody basically gets one fewer element in the free across the board. And then the ice dance, we'll talk more about ice dance in a bit, but like the pattern's back. We've talked a lot about that. There's something called the CDE, creative dance element, that has replaced the choreographic rhythmic sequence in the rhythm dance. And there's one fewer choreographic element in the free dance. I will do an entire primer on this at some point so that it's easier to understand, but there's a lot of changes, and it means that the scores that you see are not quite equivalent to what you're used to. Michelle, having seen some of the programs this season already, have you noticed a difference?
A bit. I mean, it's a relief to see anyone attempting any kind of pattern. It's like I can see when they start the Golden Waltz, it's like, oh, they're finally doing some ice dancing.
Deep breath before you go into the Golden Waltz.
One thing was really, I guess, disturbing to me about this whole bringing it back is we realize that almost all ice dance teams don't train compulsory patterns at all.
Yeah.
Like once they make it to senior, they're just not training them. And I find that really disturbing because I feel like compulsory dances are so foundational. And I mean, if you look at like Torval and Dean, who, are I think probably considered one of the greatest, if not the greatest ice dance teams of all time, retired from competition and would still do like an hour of compulsory dances every single day when they were training as pro skaters. They just likened it to like the bar work you do in ballet. Like you do it every day. And, teams are not doing them at all, which is kind of crazy. And, I definitely feel like we've seen the effects of that in ice dance right now. So I'm glad that someone at least is doing a little bit of compulsories once again. And the fact that it's the hardest compulsory is, kind of mean, but I'm enjoying it. And I think we've had like 2 dance events so far this season, and the Golden Waltz is already dividing and, culling the herd, as we say. So
it is very early, and a lot of these dance teams have been like, oh, patterns. So it will be interesting to see what the teams that were around when the pattern was still in the in the rhythm dance, which was 4 years ago now,
Mm-hmm.
how that differentiates them.
Mm-hmm.
You would imagine that it comes back easier for teams that have
Mm-hmm.
done this, for a long time. Um, but we'll see. It's an interesting one.
Yeah. We'll see how Anthony Ponomarenko, younger brother of the Golden Waltz, does with it. So,
I mean, Anthony Ponomarenko should have it in his DNA
yeah. Yeah.
to do pattern dances.
That's intimidating. I'd be worried about them holding me to a different standard. I mean, he has to always be thinking about that, but
I mean, going back to what you were saying, Michelle, it is not as if ice dancers go through their entire careers never doing these patterns, right? It
Mhm.
is like you do as you are going through the testing process to
Mhm.
become, a novice and a junior and a senior, and then all the stuff underneath that. There are pattern dances that you have to pass as a
Mhm.
test.
Compulsory dances.
Yeah, compulsory dances,
Mhm.
and that is a thing that you have to do. But as with all tests, right? You cram for that test, and then you don't have to cram for that test anymore. You don't do it.
Mhm.
Like
That's a
when
problem.
when you have to do lifts that are taking up all your time,
Mhm.
you're not spending your time doing pattern dances or compulsory dances anymore, and now you do.
Yeah, they need to bring it back. We should
Yeah.
have two compulsory dances at every competition.
I think it'll be interesting to see how this all goes this season. We'll talk about the Quebec Summer Championships, which had a full slate of ice dancers there. Really,
Well,
a full slate and then a bunch of withdrawals, but still,
yeah,
there was still like 8 teams, nine
it was a
teams there.
full slate on day one. Yeah.
Yeah. So I did some calculations, and basically there are a couple of rules of thumb here for these rule changes. For the men's and women's and pairs short programs, expect all the scores that you're used to go up a couple points because of the increase in the base value for the spins and the step sequences, right? So
Mhm.
Ami Nakai got a 78, right, at the Olympics for her clean short program. Was it 78? Something like that.
Mhm. It
Expect
was.
that to be like an 80. So what
Mhm.
we'll see more 60s from the sort of middle range skaters. We'll see
Mhm.
more 70s from the top range skaters, right? And for the women, and then for the men, right, we will see more hundreds likely. We will see more 90s than you're used to. So it's the difference of about 2 points. If
Mhm.
you go from level 4 everything to level 4 everything, from last season to this season, the difference in base value is 1.9. And then you add up all the GOEs and stuff. It's about that kind of range. For pairs, same thing, because of the spins and step sequences, 1 to 2 points. So you'll see more 70s. The In the rhythm dance, that's an interesting one because we're swapping the choreographic rhythmic sequence for the CDE. The Golden Waltz and the Westminster Waltz pattern are exactly the same value as the old
Mhm.
pattern step
Mhm.
sequence. So
PST.
they basically cancel out each other. But the thing with the choreographic rhythmic sequence is that the old choreographic rhythmic sequence started off from a lower base value, and then if you get high GOEs, it like expands it dramatically, right? Like you're getting like 9.5 points for
Mhm.
getting a +5 on the rhythmic sequence. For the CDE, the base value starts higher and the GOEs are not as big. So you have to get to the level 4 in order for you to get a big score, and then your GOEs are then added on top of that. But the CDE level 4 maxes out at a 7.25 if you get a +5. The choreographic rhythmic sequence maxes out at a 9.5 if you got a 0.5. So expect actually that the rhythm dances will decrease in scores by about 2 to 3 points. That's an interesting thing. In the free skates, it's all over the place. I'm not gonna totally go through the details, but basically, for men's and women's singles, depending on how things are laid out, you can expect a drop of anywhere from like 5 to 15 or even 20 points from what you saw last season in the scores. Like I said, people like Mao Shimada probably won't be expecting much of a drop at all, because of how they've re-engineered their base value. The free dance will also then drop by about 5 points, because you're getting rid of one of the choreo sequences or choreographic elements.
Yeah, I feel like we saw a ton of inflation in scores this past season because of the Olympic season, and I feel like scores will drop across the board.
Yeah,
because of that. They should. Yeah, it's like a whole readjustment, especially in dance. Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see, especially as we see more international competitions to calibrate. We're right now seeing a couple of international competitions. They're still pretty small, and then we're seeing some domestic competitions where the scores are just like you're not going to see the same kind of scoring. We often go back to Keegan Messing's first, like his comeback competition last season, where people were freaking out because he was getting like mid 80s for not doing whatever it was. And that program would have scored in the 70s in an international event that is like, calibrated differently. So expect scores to be weird, and expect to re-engineer your brain to think about these scores a little differently as the season moves on. Okay, that was very dry. I loved it, but we need to talk about other things. Prize money. We got an increase in prize money that we just heard from the ISU. So they doubled the prize pool, which was what they were talking about in the at Congress, and they finalized the details. And so competition prize money will go up by like $3 million, and this is across all of the sports in the ISU. That includes speed skating and short track and synchro. And then there will be a pool for world rankings prize money. That's a new thing, which will be an interesting one to see. So those are the two big things. The three big thing, we're going to get into it. The reinstatement of Russia and Belarus to international competition. That was announced about a month and a half ago, not even. For those of us who have been seeing the machinations behind the scenes, and also, having seen that Russia and Belarus were represented at the Olympics as neutral athlete skaters, this wasn't a surprise. It was kind of a matter of when and also how. And so we're seeing the first of there's like a whole process, apparently, of allegedly of vetting of skaters to get neutral status. And a lot of the ones who have gotten neutral status so far have been the junior skaters who are getting ready for the Junior Grand Prix Series. There are few senior skaters who have gotten it, because there are some Challenger Series events that are coming up, including Kinoshita Group Cup, where we're going to see a number of neutral athlete skaters who are going to be there. Michelle, how do you feel?
I mean, I think that it was already, I think, a blow to the people that were, I don't know, still it felt like there's a lot going on in Ukraine, and we want to support Ukraine and sort of hold the line on this, and to allow the AIN athletes. I think it was already, I think, upsetting to, especially the Ukrainian skaters, and we have a lot of Ukrainian skaters in the U.S. as well. But there's a big, I think, difference between the criteria they laid out and then the actual admission in practice, as we've seen it happen in the past week or so.
Yep.
And I think that at least I had the impression that this AIN screening, even though the ISU was doing it, was going to be somewhat similar to what we saw for the Olympics. And I think what we saw in other sports, like I follow rhythmic gymnastics pretty closely, and they did AIN screening, and they had AIN athletes back in a competition even before Paris. And that was pretty rigorous. And it does not seem that this is that rigorous at all, because, in addition to some of the athletes that I think we weren't that surprised by, that there's a lot that we were very, very surprised by, especially some who have been very open in making public appearances, in their social media, in posts that are still up, in comments, in their vocal support for the current administration in Russia and the war in Ukraine. And that seems to go against the criteria. And it's just kind of confusing, because why are they doing this at all? Like, if you're going to have the Russian athletes in and you want them back in, why are you calling them neutral? Because there's clearly, like, I would like to know, has anyone been rejected yet? Because it seems like the people, at least that we're the most aware of, that would have conflicts, I think the top two on the list have been granted neutral status, which is just, I'm flummoxed. I don't know what's going on. It's quite confusing. I have read a commentary from another journalist that believed that if they signed the requisite paperwork and submitted it, they were going to be submitted, and they were going to be accepted. And then there was a burden on, others to sort of bring things to the ISU's attention. I don't know if that's in writing anywhere. That's just like a rumor, like a report that I've read. But some of these, it's like you just go to their Instagram page, and there's the conflicting information right there.
I mean,
but
I'm going back to the ISU communication where it says eligibility assessment, and we're talking about the things that take out eligibility are people who are in active service in the armed forces, people who have at any time since February 2022 taken active part in military operations in the war against Ukraine, or people who have at any time since February 2022 actively and publicly supported the war. And there was also then a Q&A document where, and I'm trying to find it again, where there was a clarification of, like, what about skaters who were not cleared earlier on, and by that means for the Olympics. A skater who was not cleared because they fell within the disqualifying criteria will not become eligible simply by signing the separate form. So that's the form that you're talking about, Michelle. Past active and public support for the war is not set aside by a later confirmation. That is verbatim from what the Q&A says. Where, however, a disqualifying circumstance has genuinely ceased and no other disqualifying conduct applies, the skater's eligibility may be reassessed going forward.
Well, that would, in terms of being that was not cleared, the two teams I would think of that were not cleared were Stepanov Abukin and Mishina Galyamov, and I don't believe either of them has received neutral status yet.
That is correct.
But skaters who were not put forward by Russia for consideration for the 2026 Olympics that on their face have many conflicts have been cleared. And so it's confusing.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing that was came to my attention is someone on Twitter posted that the ISU included in its financial report in for 2024 that that the conflict in Ukraine is having a negative impact on the ISU, with a key market closed off and reduced competitivity due to the absence of some elite athletes. And I mean, sure,
It's true.
like
I mean,
that.
it is a
It's true.
fact. It is a
It's true.
fact.
I think at a certain point, like at what point is it not? When are you going to say, like, I don't want to make money in that area because of what's going on? Like, it's not worth it. Where do you draw the line and say I'm not, I'm not engaging with that? It's just yeah. I mean, I guess I'll add to that, like the neutral athletes that we're talking about are some of the biggest stars in Russian skating.
Right.
So it's complicated.
It is complicated.
Frustrating.
We have currently, based on what is on the ISU website right now, so basically anybody who has been put in an AIN-1, which is Belarus, and an AIN-2 designation in their bio, there are currently 12 athletes / teams from Belarus that have been cleared, including Victoria Safonova, who was at the Olympics. And then there are currently 33 Russian athletes who have been cleared for AIN-2. And that includes some of the folks that, were maybe a bit suspect in the past history.
I mean, Mark Kondratyuk is a member of the army. He's had his photograph taken with the Minister of Defense and then President Putin during the conflict. Kamila Valieva has made multiple public appearances with Putin. She has one pinned on her Instagram story, and her Telegram channel is just very more politically charged than I think her Instagram channel is.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like, well, who is getting screened out if these athletes are getting in?
It's the question of what of that is actively and publicly supporting the war, quote unquote.
All of it.
And then
All of it.
And then, with Mark, it is, has he ever been an active part of military operations in the war against Ukraine? And if
I mean, I think
if
doing
not,
public appearances on behalf of the military is an active participation.
yeah, it's I do have the question to the ISU that has been sent, and so that's we'll see if I can get a response around if there is a list of who's been submitted and who hasn't been cleared for AIN status.
Yeah, and I think faith in Russian media, and that if someone is not cleared, that we're going to hear about it, and they're going to be mad.
Yeah.
So we have not heard any of that yet.
Yeah, it is to say that we saw it in gymnastics where there were the whole thing around gymnasts turning their backs during
Covering their
awards
ears.
award ceremonies, that sort of thing. I have no doubt that this is going to be a continued conversation throughout the season, and we're going to see some clashes. I cannot imagine that's not going to happen. I mean, when you have Kirilo Marsak posting things in his Instagram stories that are very much like, hey, what about Ukraine? Same thing with Vadim Kolesnik.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The visa thing will be interesting too.
Yeah.
Like right now, the European Artistic Gymnastic Championships are coming up, and I think all of the selected women for the team for Russia they were going to have to substitute them all because none of them were approved for visas. So they're trying another group to get in, and that's in Croatia. So, I mean, we have Europeans in Lausanne, and then Worlds in Finland, Lausanne, Switzerland, and then Worlds in Finland. So we'll see.
Right. Those will be interesting. All right.
Hmm.
There's more to come on that for sure,
Hmm.
and I have no doubt that we're going to continue talking about this. Let's go to competitions because we've had some competitions that have happened. The early season has been mostly domestic forward competitions. There have been a number of them in the U.S. There have been a number of them in other countries. A lot of test skates kind of things
Hmm.
that allow skaters to qualify for within their countries for spots at the Junior Grand Prix, at other international competitions. They're kind of like ranking competitions, if you will, but they're not really called that unless you're in Korea. But we've got those. Glacier Falls. We had the debut of Chelsea Liu and Ryan Bedard for the season, right? For example, and it at one of the domestic competitions in Japan, we had Bao Shimada coming out with a pretty solid, debut for her senior season, and we're gonna sure see more of that, especially coming up here in the next month or so. But this weekend was interesting because there were a couple of fairly big. There were a couple of fairly somewhat anticipated competitions. One was actually a Challenger Series competition, Challenger or the Cranberry Cup in Massachusetts, and then one was a domestic competition in Quebec called the Quebec Summer Championships. The French version I am not going to try to pronounce, but that was where we had the debut of Hannah Lim and Zach Lagha, and also the debut of Marco Gaidayenko and Alicia Fabry. Michelle, what did you think of that?
Yeah, it was an interesting set of rhythm dances. I think people really went in various different directions with the assignment, and that was
Yes.
interesting. I have mixed feelings about it because I really like that in like a free dance setting, but like when we're doing, the same rhythm, I want it to be the same. But it was interesting. Yeah, I thought Lim Laga looked good for as long as they've been together, which is like 2 months.
Fairly quick. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely have growing to do. I think the most disarming thing is that Zach looks like a completely different person. He's so joyous in his movement and his presentation. Just seems to be really loving the classical Sleeping Beauty theme and skating with Hannah. And I don't feel like I really ever saw him like look that like that before. So, I'm glad he's so happy. I think, yeah, I think they'll just improve from here. Yeah, the Golden Waltz was a challenge, I think, for everyone, but yeah.
Well, it's very early in the season, and so hopefully
Hmm.
there'll be a lot more reps there.
Yeah, and I haven't learned how to pronounce Alicia's partner's last name yet. What is it?
got you, Gaida Yenko.
Gaidayenko. Okay.
I
I liked them too. I like her with him. They seem to
I think
really
so
be
too.
well
Yeah.
matched.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's been interesting seeing these new teams kind of come together and their chemistry
Hmm.
so far,
Hmm.
even without seeing them having competed yet, right? I mean,
Hmm.
a number of folks have talked about how both Marjorie Lajoie and Zach Legal look
Hmm.
happier with their new
Hmm.
partners.
Hmm.
Is it the honeymoon phase? Is it,
Hmm.
whatever? We'll see. Uh, but I agree with you about Hannah and Zach. I do think Hannah has a bit of like catching up in terms of speed and
Hmm.
movement to do with
Hmm.
Zach. It's a from what we saw on in that rhythm dance, it's a jam-packed rhythm dance in terms of just like movements and
Yeah.
shapes and forms and it's it'll be I'll be curious to see what the next iteration of it looks like, because as you said, it's very early in their partnership, and it's the fact that they have a rhythm dance together and competed is pretty cool. There was there was a post from Skate Canada on their Twitter, which included the two of them, those two teams, plus Marjorie and JL, plus who is the plus Paul Ayer and Sandrine Gauthier, being like, who's gonna come out on top this weekend? And I looked at that graphic and I'm like, okay, not going. That was
Yeah. I
Marjorie
saw
and
that. I was
yeah,
confused. I
yeah,
was like,
so
what?
confused.
Yeah.
Marjorie and JL not going.
Yeah.
Sandrine and Paul withdrawn.
Yeah.
Uh, Hannah and Zach doing one program.
Yeah.
So we know who's going to come out on top because there's
Yeah.
literally only one of those teams that is doing an
Hmm.
entire competitive
Hmm.
competition. Um, but I don't see it on their Twitter anymore, so I must have taken it down.
So yeah, I probably got yelled at enough. Yeah.
I mean, I get it. They want you to read the article about the new teams, but like also
Hmm.
none of them are really actually. Well, only one of them really competed the entire competition.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, there were other things going on over there as well with the Quebec Championships. Sarah Maud Dupuis did a triple axel in her free skate.
Hmm.
It was a cue. I think she 2-footed it, but she put it to her feet.
Hmm.
There were some interesting ones over on Cranberry Cup. Amelia Nemirovsky also tried a triple axel.
Yeah. The ones she was doing in practice were beautiful.
They looked so they looked she when she gets her jumps together, they are so good.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
And I loved all the comments of people saying, I didn't know Luna Hendricks had a triple axel because that was my thought too. When I scrolled to it, I was like, Luna? Oh no. Yeah.
yeah, let's see. Cranberry Cup, that was there were I think like 8 or 9 competitors in each category, which is like the
Hmm.
bare minimum for it to
Hmm.
be to actually still work as a
Hmm.
challenger series competition. Sasha Selevko wins in the men's event. He debuted his
Hmm.
Michael Jackson short program,
Dirty Diana.
Dirty Diana.
I had that in my head for hours afterward. It was like,
It's a very repetitive song
yeah,
where he just
yeah.
keeps shouting Dirty Diana. So that is a thing.
Hmm.
In the women's event, it was the Kim sisters making their senior debut. And
Yes, with
you,
their.
s-
Oh, go ahead.
no, no, go ahead.
I would say like they're identical twins with
Yes.
identical triple axles. It's like this is like something out of like a graphic novel or something like a figure skating graphic novel. It's yeah, and they have different styles, and it's just yeah. I love it.
Yeah.
Um,
It's like
UJ had a little triple loop drama, but other than that,
if you haven't seen it, and by the way, if you go to rockerskating.com/competition, you can actually now see all of the results, all of the protocols, and embedded videos of
nice.
the programs if they are available, and these are all
Hmm.
sourced from various people on YouTube, and
Yeah,
so
there was a kind soul with a iPhone in the audience.
yeah, exactly, and you know every view is helping
Hmm.
these folks with their views.
Hmm.
So that is a thing. Anyway, Yusong Kim, was it Yusong or UJ? Oh, it was UJ Kim in the short program had a triple fall off
Yeah.
after her triple loop.
Well, technically, it's only a double
It
fall
was counted as a
legally,
double fall. It was
but
counted
it
as a
was a
double
triple
fall.
fall. Yeah. Yeah. The
It was
ice
one of
just
those where yeah,
reached up and grabbed her.
it was one of those
Yeah.
where like you fall and you try to get up and you try to
Yeah.
hurry and then you fall again and then you try to
Yeah.
get up and then you can't even get up and you
Yeah.
fell again.
Yeah.
It was I'm sure she had a good laugh about it. I hope she had a
I
good
mean,
laugh about it.
even at the highest level, there are moments when you forget how to skate.
Oh
It's
yeah,
just hard.
ice is slippery,
Yeah.
as Scott Hamilton used to say on air.
Hmm.
But it was
No, that
you
was
saw.
Dick Button, I think.
Was it Dick Clinton?
It was Dick Button, and then everyone else would say it too.
But
Yeah.
it was Yusong Kim who won it,
Hmm.
and she won it with a 200 point total, 202.70.
I thought you were going to say, and she won it with Madonna.
She won it with Madonna.
She did.
No, but like
Yeah. Good
if
for
you
her.
if you think about what we were just talking about with the different
Hmm.
scores, right? A 200 now is actually a harder score to earn
Hmm.
because you get a couple points more in the short program, but you get potentially a lot fewer points in the free skate.
Hmm.
Again, depends on how these programs are laid out, but she she has a triple axel with a seven triple program.
I mean,
So
she did a lot of content. She was hanging
yeah,
onto it with like the tips of her fingers on those landings, but yeah, she got it out.
yeah, but yeah, the 200s will be harder to come by for sure. And what's going to happen here also is the different the different skaters, the different coaching teams, they're going to keep looking at these protocols and be like, how do we continue
Hmm.
to optimize? And you're
Hmm.
absolutely going to see more score sheets that are going to have invalidated elements because somebody read it wrong or somebody thought it was this,
Hmm.
or like Mark
Yeah.
Gorodnitsky didn't realize he couldn't do a combination with an Euler and then also a sequence. So if you did
Hmm.
two combinations and one of them included an Euler, the second one cannot be a sequence.
Hmm.
It's meant to basically be like you have to do like a real combination, right? A real
Yeah.
combination with
Yeah.
a toe on the end or a loop on the
Hmm.
end. But the thing was, he actually did that, but then he
Hmm.
added a double axle at the end of it, and so it
Yeah.
invalidated like most of that combo.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's going to be a lot of growing pains with just like an understanding of these elements, and different people doing different things, and then also we're going to see more of these invalidation of little things like double toes or
Hmm.
single axles or things like that because
I still
somebody's
forget to count the doubles.
yeah.
I'm like,
Well, because you only can do three of the same jump now
yeah.
in the free skate. So like you can't, for example, do two triple toes and two double toes,
Hmm.
or you can't do
And a quad toe.
yeah, you can't do two quad toes and two triple toes, or two quad toes, a triple toe, and a double toe. You can't do that. Like
Hmm.
that's going to wreak havoc on people's brains
Yeah.
if they miss a combination early on and they want to tack on something later to
Hmm.
get that combination. Like
Or if you
you know
pop something.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, we had a whole discussion about how Kaori Sakamoto lost the gold medal because she didn't put a single toe on the end of her triple flip,
Yeah.
right? That kind of
But that would
thing.
have been okay because that was a planned toe.
Yes,
You
that
don't
that
want an
would
unplanned one.
that would have been fine. But it's the fact that she didn't have the the capacity to think about what
Yeah.
she had to do at that point,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and now, even if you had the capacity to think about what you had to do, the rules are so a bit more convoluted now that like you're left with fewer choices if you need to do a little bit of improv later on in the program.
Nobunari Oda, so glad he's retired. It's like, thank God.
I did notice, by the way, that their
Mhm.
U.S. figure skating's domestic competitions, some of them were not updated with the latest base
Mhm.
values, or no, the latest rules. So they're plus rep. So if if you didn't do a combination on your second triple jump. It used to be that you get 70% of the base value. Now you get 80% of the base value, and they haven't updated that. So there's going to be some of that too, of like trying to figure out all the stuff that's going on. It's a whole new
Speaking
quad.
of Nobunariota, that's what happened at 2006 Nationals,
My
Japan
God.
Nationals, and they didn't count the combination invalidation rule. So, and then they didn't catch it till after the medal ceremony, and they had to redo it. Anyway,
Combination and validation.
yeah.
Uh, so all of that, there has been a lot of activity going on already this early this season, and we're gonna keep bringing you that activity. The Junior Grand Prix starts in 2 weeks. We have a little bit of a lull in the next 2 weeks, but there's a lot of stuff going on in the domestic events in Japan and the U.S. There's the Kenoshita Summer Cup is actually happening right now. There, with like hundreds of skaters skating there, including some big names.
Where's your play-by-play, Jackie?
Yeah,
You should be live
that's
tweeting that.
I should be because there's actually a live stream for it. I
I saw
am.
that Cal had a bit of a rough outing with his short program.
He did. Kao Miura is, I think, in 8th place right now in that
Yeah,
competition after the short.
some things transpired.
I mean, it's early. It is very
Yeah.
early. Yeah, he's in 8th place. He fell on the quad sow, fell on triple axel, and then kind of did a quad toe double toe. But Nozomu Yoshioka is in the lead right now with a clean short program. Kazuki Tomoto this is already his second competition because
Yeah.
he was at Asian Trophy where he won.
Yeah. Still has Sophie Tucker with
He
him,
still
which
has
we're
Sophie
very
Tucker.
happy.
Yep,
Yeah.
that is happening. And then on the women's side, we will see. Who will we see? Will we see Mao Shimada there? We sure will. She competes, I think, tomorrow. The women's event is stacked. Like we're talking Mao Shimada, Mako Yamashita, Saki Miyake, Rino Matsuke, Rinka Watanabe.
Miyake.
Yeah.
Let's
I mean,
go.
and Mone Chiba has withdrawn from that because she apparently has a ankle
Yeah,
injury
ankle.
that she's trying to recover from. But
I'm calling an Etsy witch as we speak.
oh,
I'm
the
really
Etsy witch has
excited to see
been
Rio.
busy.
Have we seen Rio this season at all
We
yet?
have not yet, but Rio is not in this competition yet. So no Rio.
Okay.
We will see him definitely. Well, at least he's entered in the Kenoshita Challenger event in early September. But I have no doubt that with the number of competitions domestically for these Japanese skaters, that it's very likely he will be in one of those very soon. All right, so much going on already, and the season is just starting. Any final thoughts, Michelle, before we leave?
I have a lot to catch up on, but yeah, I'm excited to see more ice dance. Give us more Golden Waltz Carnage. I want to see some of these free, and I'm excited for the free dance announcements too. Yeah, one of my friends, Olivia Smart announced that she and Tim Deek are skating to Enigma, and one of my friends was like, "Is Enigma the artist?" And I was like, "Oh my god, we have to educate everyone." Enigma was the 90s.
Yeah.
So
I think it's a good choice for them.
yeah, it'll be great. Oh, so good. And it sounded like there's that Enigma song that has like the monks singing in it. It sounded like they're using some of that. So
Yeah, yeah.
I'm ready.
I don't think you can not, because that was the biggest hit from Enigma,
Yeah.
wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I imagine they have a lot of music to choose from.
Yeah.
I don't know. I only had that one like Pure Moods album, but I'm sure there's a lot out there. The X-Files theme on it.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. Yeah, lots to come, and it's August 9th. So there's going to be a lot of skating coming up. By the way, Michelle probably won't be part of these, but the Rocker Skating podcast is going live taping
Oh
at a
yeah.
competition near you. Well, some competition near you. Where we are confirmed for Skate America, and I'm working out details. We are confirmed for a November podcast taping in New York City, and I already have a special guest who will be joining me. So I'll wait to talk about who that special guest is when they actually confirm. And looking to potentially do one at Skate Canada and at U.S. Nationals and maybe even at Worlds. Just trying to figure out these venues is probably the hardest thing. But go to rockerskating.com/podcast if you want to sign up for your interest so I can know if you are interested so I can kind of figure out where to go. But otherwise, we're going to keep doing this. And this is going to be a fascinating first season for this Olympic cycle. My goodness. All right. Well, Michelle, thank you for joining as always. Rocker Skating Podcast is sponsored by John Wilson Blades and all its brands. And for Michelle Ellis, I'm really not well versed in this at all. It's been a long time. For Michelle Ellis, this is Jackie Wong, Chief Skate Nerd of rockerskating.com. And we will talk to you again very soon. Bye.
Bye.